Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
He's one of the smartest guys in the biz. Tony Sciarrotta is the executive director of Reverse Logistics Association and the publisher of RL Magazine, by the way. Joins us this morning. Hey, Tony, good morning. How was your weekend?
Good morning. The weekend was wonderful here because the weather is good and there was music involved. So that's always great.
Yeah, I have to tell you right now, we, as I was telling some of our earlier guests, this is the month of October isn't so much fall in New Orleans as it is return the oxygen to the atmosphere month. So we've actually been in the midst of a nice 75 degrees and dry conditions. It's been really, really great. And it's not football weather, but it ain't suffering either, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely, yes. That's great.
Let's jump in, by the way, and I'm just going to give you a term, and you tell me what it means. Hyper-local. Tell me what that is.
So hyper-local means if there's someone buys mattress in a box, and the factory that makes it is in California, and it gets shipped to Massachusetts, if the person doesn't want it, because everyone has a free trial of everything these days, right? And 30 days later decides they don't want it, it's crazy to take it all the way back to the factory, right? So hyperlocal means trucking companies, trucking organizations have to find ways to keep it local, keep it where something can be decided if it's sitting in a warehouse or a terminal, and it can be donated. And maybe a mattress is a little scary about thinking of donations and things like that. But generally speaking, hyperlocal means take a refrigerator, also made Kentucky, and goes to California. Hyperlocal means truck companies have to help this circular economy concept. Don't take it back to where it came from. Find a new home for it. And that's what we call hyperlocal, connected to the circular economy. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, by the way, and it's really big business, by the way. It is incredibly big business. Can you kind of attach a number to that for our listeners to really understand what it means to keep it hyper-local and how it can help the local economy prosper?
The number that we should attach to that is staggering. It was $890 billion in 2024. That's the estimated retail value, just consumer goods. We're not talking about business to business where you talk about those massive server farms that have rack systems that go down, and that's the B2B world, right? Professional, commercial. Just the consumer returns alone, $900 billion. And I love my son who truck drives and across the country, but I hate to see him hauling stuff and there's nothing wrong with it, and they're taking it back somewhere, right? It's good stuff. And we need to try to do that more and more, because 900 billion is a staggering number, and it's going up, Dave, by the way. It's going up. And so it's just scary.
Yeah, and by the way, and because it is going up, it's also there are opportunities, there are entrepreneurial opportunities attached to this. This is the other thing too that a lot of people don't understand. Entrepreneurial opportunities for the small trucking company, the owner operator, people who actually have warehouse space, people who are thinking of investing in warehouse space, people who are thinking about all kinds of ways of kind of getting this product both in-house and then out to the people that need it, often at costs that aren't the same as they were when they originally showed up as well. Kind of unpack the ripple effect of what this means when it goes into the economy, into hyperdrive.
So what's really cool is all kinds of new business models have come up. I'll give you one example. If somebody can buy a truckload of pallets of goodies, okay, and open up a bin store for the weekend. And what they'll do is they'll drop off a few truckloads of these pallets and gaylords, and they'll put them in this, abandoned store of some sort. And people will line up, because on Thursday, it's the gold mine. You can find so many cool things. You could find a PlayStation. You could find a television. You could find a microwave. And it'll be something like $20 on Thursday per item, anything in the place. Maybe on Friday, it'll be $15 an item. On Saturday, it'll be $10 an item. And on Sunday, it's $5 an item, whatever's left. So this is a new concept that the trucking industry participates in, because you're delivering these massive truckloads of just all kinds of stuff, and so that's one incredibly interesting example of entrepreneurship. The other is that if you leave it hyperlocal at a terminal and it's a few pallets, people actually buy these by the. I mean, I could buy a pallet or two of this stuff, have it delivered to my garage, go through it, pull out the lemons and throw them away, find some stuff that makes good lemonade, and sell it on Craigslist or eBay and things like that. So there's incredible entrepreneurship going on at that level. It's very, very cool stuff that's been happening lately.
And it's about a matter, too, that once this actually gets into gear, once this infrastructure and network is set up, customers begin to figure this out as well. And you've just pointed this out. The idea that, I'll give you two examples anecdotally from my standpoint. One of my big frustrations when I've lost a little bit of weight or I've gained a little bit of weight, you'll often buy one or two things that you need just to kind of as what I call a transition phase. Either you're just getting a shirt to look nice until you can get back to the weight you were, or you're losing weight rapidly, and so you need to buy a couple of bridge items to get you to the next place. You want to buy some nice stuff. You go to a place like Marshall's or TJ Maxx. Tell me if I get this right. But you go there, and you're in a medium or a large, and somebody has plunder rated, so all they have is the extra larges, and then the smalls, because somebody has gone in there and just done a scoop and run, because these are entrepreneurs out there buying 10, 15, sometimes 20 mediums and pulling them off the shelf. That's number one. Here's the one that made me happy. I was actually at a Best Buy and buying a PlayStation right after the pandemic. And the guy said, I tell you what, you buy that right now, and I'm going to throw in, and I knew the cost even online. He said, I'll throw in the two headsets that would go with it, half price a piece. So you're paying basically 2 for 1 if you want to take that. He said, I'll set you up because you're my first customer that's come by to buy one of these things. And when people start figuring that out, it actually can help accelerate the economy, correct? Because they start kind of reacting faster. Can you kind of unpack that?
Absolutely. And what happens at Best Buy and select other retailers is if you buy something and you open it, it doesn't fit where you want it, you take it back, they put it back on the shelf and they do a markdown, which is basically what you got. You got a great markdown opportunity on something that maybe was returned or maybe wasn't, and they just cut a good deal. But I love the story about the shirts, because it also means let the buyer beware. So when you look on eBay, when you're looking on Craigslist in your local neighborhoods, and by the way, Facebook Marketplace is becoming big, and the other example, that's the small stuff, right, Dave? The small stuff are the shirts. You can put that in an envelope and ship it. But think about things like, you mentioned gaining a couple pounds, losing a couple pounds. That takes exercise equipment. That's really big. That a bicycle, an exercise stationary bicycle, you buy it, you got 30 days to try it. If you don't lose the weight you want, you say, I want you to take that back. Big truck comes to pick it up. What do they do with that? You can't take it back to the factory. So again, there's all of this entrepreneurial stuff going on. There's organizations that can take that bike and do it locally. It's actually there's one example called ShareTown, and what they do is they pick up. If I've got an SUV, I'm told there's a return. I go pick it up, and then I turn around and resell it, and it's a rev share with the company that makes it, whether it's Peloton or Homex or any of these. And you can cut an agreement with them in this ShareTown sort of situation where I'm going to pick it up for you. You're the man, or the mattress, another example. I'll pick it up for you. I'll sell it, and I'll give you part of the proceeds because you're letting me buy it for 5 cents on a dollar. So there's some really cool stuff going on there.
Let's kind of, and we've alluded to this and talked about it, and we talked about the idea of, entrepreneurial energies. Let's talk about the need and opportunities for warehousing, and then we'll get to gaylord and bin stores. But the idea, so I guess what I'm asking you, and then I know you've got some thoughts on it as well, does it make sense for some people in the entrepreneurial spirit to maybe invest in warehouse space if they want to take the next step? If in fact, they have a small trucking company and they want to have space to kind of move stuff like that. I mean, what is the need to kind of invest over there? What are the opportunities?
The need is gigantic because again, it's not just that 900 billion. Think of some of that goes back to the store. And if you think about the trucking companies, the big names, none of them are like they're not 50 billion in movement in revenue from returns. But if you're a trucking company or entrepreneur, you know where you start, Dave? You probably start with the storage lockers. Okay, you start with a storage locker, you get bigger ones. If you're a truck company and you want to participate in this hyper local return scenario, then you should look at a small warehouse. And then you're going to find the more clients that you get, the more partners you connect with, the bigger you're going to need a warehouse. But the goal of the warehouse too is to be circular. So it doesn't necessarily have to be massive, even though there's massive returns. It can be reasonably sized because the goal is you're going to put it there and you want to move it within 7 days to 2 weeks. So it's just that image of the circular economy. The return, the truck company picks it up, puts it in their building. They work with the manufacturer to liquidate it over the next 7 days to 2 weeks. And it's great revenue opportunities for everyone because the manufacturer, otherwise the mattress will be thrown away. And you don't want that. You really want to find another use for it, or the refrigerator, or the treadmill, or the stair climber. Any of the major bulky items, they demand, they require, they really should see more hyper local opportunities. And partnering the truck companies that have warehouse space that want to participate in this, now you find a network near you. You could even hire an employee to do this and sell it on the Craigslist and Facebook and Nextdoor and all these marketplaces that are growing every day, Dave. It's amazing, the entrepreneurship.
Well, and the other thing that is so interesting to me too is that this is a great reminder because we are talking about, not just hyper situation, but micro as well too, because it's a great reminder that anybody who has got a truck and a CDL can often kind of start so simply and small. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles. Now you got to do diligence and make sure that all your paperwork's in order and that you are compliant and all things. But it's a great reminder that you don't need to begin with outfitting a really, really complex order form website. You can start at Facebook, you can start at Craigslist, you can start a lot of places and begin to kind of build out from there by simply responding to the need and kind of working your way out from there. You go with a storage locker, a reputable space from which to do business online, a reputable truck
Right.
from which to do business, and then that becomes the foundation to build something that could expand within a $900 billion sort of circular economy, correct?
Absolutely correct. And by the way, Dave, it's important for the trucking companies to understand manufacturers and retailers, they want a one-stop solution. And if the trucker is only moving the goods from one place to another, that's part of the solution. But the other part is what's going to happen with it. So if a truck company has a warehouse space of any kind of terminal, and they don't need a big space, to your point, this stuff's going to turn quick. It's in their best interest to consider. Maybe they've never been in sales. I understand that. But again, you're talking about value add that the truck company can represent to the retailer or manufacturer. If you say, hey, we'll pick it up, you know what, we'll put it in our building and we've got someone who can help sell it. And so that's a tremendous opportunity because now the manufacturers and the retailers say, you know what, that's just one person I have to deal with. That's great. We'll let them take it. We'll do a revenue share, or we'll let them buy it for pennies on the dollar. We'll do it so that it's only one place we have to talk to and not have it go there and then go somewhere else and go somewhere else and go somewhere else. Let the other people take care of that. That's what the hyper local circular economy is all about. And it's a fantastic opportunity and it's going to grow. It's not like returns are going to go down. I've said that. They're not. So the more e-commerce that's going on, of course, that's the real nightmare. I'm about to order some furniture through e-commerce, and I hope it shows up in good shape. But if it doesn't, and I bought it at any of the big e-commerce sites, they're gonna have to come and take it back. And if I put it together and they come and take it back, the retailer and the factories don't want that stuff back. So hyper-local is an important buzzword these days. Absolutely.
The other thing is, too, and I want to talk about Gaylord and bin stores, but I also kind of want to talk about the idea that what you've also set up here is a model for experimentation. This isn't like,
Yes.
and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're not talking about, going and getting a giant small business loan. We're not talking about buying plant facilities. We're talking about the ability, as I said, we're talking about storage space, find a reputable website from which to work from. This is the kind of place where you can actually experiment with different approaches and not go bust doing it. That you can kind of, while you're doing other things, find your niche here and be willing to take chances. But these aren't the kind of chances where you find yourself at the end of the day out of capital and ruined. This is really a chance to kind of play capitalism at its smallest level, but then be able to build upon it to bigger things.
That is such a good description. And to add a little bit to that, again, because these manufacturers and retailers are looking for a one-stop solution, they're willing to be more flexible. And you don't need a big business loan, because you can work on an agreement on a rev share. Now, again, everything's got to be reputable. You got to be credible. You have to show that you can really make a difference for these companies. You can save them in shipping forward costs. You can save them in storage. They'll work out a rev share. And again, think about these. The example of these appliances and exercise equipment. These things are not cheap, right? They're a couple $1,000s and up. So if you have a manufacturer or retailer who says, you know what, you sell it for 50% off, give me half of that, and we've got a business going. And that's, to your point, how you can start experimenting. Find a niche. Maybe one category is better for you than others, or maybe one website is better than others. And so, marketplace, there's so many of these marketplaces popping up. I haven't even mentioned, the big ones are like the TikToks and the eBays, of course. And it's a surprise to many people to find out that in the United States, the second biggest marketplace probably is Facebook. And how hard is that, even for a trucking company? Hire a student who will know everything about setting up a marketplace, take pictures of the product, put it online, and sell it quick. We talked about briefly the bin stores. We'll come back to that in the gaylords. But the other aspect is these opportunities of selling direct, that people will come and pick something up at your terminal. They've got an SUV themselves. They'll come and pick it up because they want to save the money. And you can charge them to redeliver it, of course, to their home, especially maybe a refrigerator, but maybe a treadmill is something somebody can pick up in their SUV. And again, you're saving the manufacturer and the retailer many dollars, because shipping costs are very high these days. Well, they always have been. So there's some great opportunities there for anyone that thinks about getting into this. And by the way, another aspect of these returns is the truck companies should also develop a relationship with local nonprofits.
Oh, God,
and that means, right? So again, furniture, should that go to, be resold? Maybe it can't, because the scratches are something that no consumer wants. But a homeless shelter or a women's shelter, beds, couches, chairs, and these things are coming back in high returns numbers as well. So if the truck companies and the individual truckers want to put together a kind of a informative sheet of, here's our partners. We can sell things for you on Nextdoor, Facebook, etc. We have partnerships with these homeless shelters, churches, and so on, who will take stuff if you want to donate it. And it really gets tricky to try to understand the financials, and I won't pretend to know them, Dave. It's very tricky, but there's financials to show a company to say, you know what? And they should know this themselves. But if you have anyone with a financial acumen of any kind, they can say, hey, you know, that couch that you were trying to sell for $1,500, if you donate it to this charity organization, you get the full $1,500 value for it. That may be better for you than if I have to sell it for you for under $1,000, right? So there's just so many entrepreneurial opportunities to grow this at your own speed and pace and learn along the way. And again, the truck companies who have local delivery available can easily win in this space big time.
By the way, you also, for a lot of our listeners out there who are what I call, not what I call, what everybody calls owner-operator, independent drivers, people who have their own authority, who actually run their businesses from their kitchen table with their spouse or their brother kind of functioning as a partner back at home. You can literally have somebody out on the road doing the over-the-road trucking while somebody is back with simply a couple of pickups and able to move stuff to a storage space, kind of supplementing your income. The other thing that we haven't really dug into, but it's been there on the table, suggesting itself, is that it becomes income supplement for an already functional business and might give it immediate working capital too, if you work it out, if you do the diligence before you get started. It might provide you with an injection of just some short-term cash as well too, that kind of helps your company further down the road, correct?
Dave, that's such a good example because think about it. Let's stay with appliances for a moment. If you've got a stove or a refrigerator that the consumer didn't want it and now it's in your building, you can turn it around because you're going to get cash for it. It's not like you're going to have 30-day invoice dating or 45-day invoice dating. It's, to your point, Dave. It's immediate cash flow because someone could show up at the terminal to pick up a washer or dryer, and they'll pay cash for it, or they'll use a credit card that's effectively cash or debit card. So or these days we've got everything, right? We've got Zelle, we've got Venmo, we've got everything, opportunity for that cash flow that you just mentioned. And it is a tremendous opportunity to get cash in. I mean, all of us think about emptying stuff out of our house that we've got too much of when we put on Facebook, and you're happy if you get 20, 50, $100 for a bicycle or whatever. It's the same concept, and you're doing such a huge service. You can promote that. You're doing the service of being circular, being hyper local, and of working with charities, as well as bringing cash in from the marketplace sales. It's a win-win.
Just really quickly to kind of give another anecdote of mine, last week, a friend of mine is moving to New Orleans, and he had to put his stuff someplace while he tried to put the last few details of trying to find a place to live. And so I took his stuff and put it in our storage space. He offered me $100 for it. He's my friend, so I said no. But then the thought hit me almost instantly. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this is something I had not thought about, that you can. So many people get charged to store their stuff, and they don't need the storage space. If you actually have storage space for somebody who needs it short term, that also opens up possibilities as well. Thanks for making me think about that. Let me ask really quickly, because you talked about nonprofits. Yeah. What about cars? Because there's a lot of nonprofits, of course, that pick up cars, that often do that as well, too. That falls out of your rubric, or is that something we can talk about as well?
That one's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, Dave. I'm sorry to say. I hear about it all the time with the local public radio stations and so on offering to do it. I don't know what truckers are involved in that, and how frequently it happens, but it's certainly an opportunity. But I don't think that is related to truckers as much as this is, one of those pickup tow trucks, picking up one car at a time. But those are the same relationship, though, would exist if you were to have furniture or these appliances and even clothing can be donated to this. And if the truck companies, even the local owner operators that you're talking with, they need to find connections, because if they can show they can pick up more stuff and do something with it hyper local, they have more business opportunities if they start to talk to retailers and manufacturers about, hey, what do you do with your returns? We'll be glad to help you with them. And it's very circular and it's very hyper local, because the major manufacturers make stuff all over the country or overseas, but the ones that make it all over the country, they don't want it back to the factory or to the shipping warehouse. They want some other solutions with it. So the car analogy, I'd stay with the nonprofits, but other things can certainly easily apply to the owner operators if they can offer solutions. And they imagine an owner operator that has a regular routine, but picks up and talks to the retailer, the manufacturer, and says, "Hey, what are you doing with your returns? Can I pick some up for you? I've got some local opportunities. I can do something with them." And that's the conversation for you, the entrepreneurial owner operators. And I really love the way you said, you're right. Many of them operate a business from their kitchen table or from their extended cab with a computer, and they could do this all the same way.
Yeah, and by the way, before we're running out of time here, but and I just had another thought while you were talking about it, and the idea is kind of perfect. You fill up your warehouse, you're able to kind of drop your stuff as it comes and goes. But what's really kind of cool about it is that you could actually have a lot of extra stuff at the end and say, you know what, I got to clear out this warehouse. Let me reach out to the nonprofits now and clear some stock. Correct?
Yeah. Absolutely, Dave. And we hope more and more of your listeners think about those things and find ways to make that happen and make such a difference in people's lives.
Tony Sciarrotta, by the way, has been the executive director of Reverse Logistics Association since 2016. He's held various industry positions, including 15 years in returns and management at Phillips. He is a welcome guest anytime. Go have the best of weeks, my friend, and we will talk soon.